The question was asked to a great rabbi by the name of Mahari Assad. It's a woman, certain woman, she have an issue of eating fish. There are several issues. First issue is when she was a little child, she have a bone stuck in her, inside her throat. And she was traumatized. She was to the hospital, they pulled it out, but she was traumatized. And since that, every time she eats fish, she's traumatized. Plus, when she eats certain fish, she has a side effect. So, she made a vow that she will never touch a fish. But then she got married, she have a family and everything. And she, for example, when she preparing a fish for the family, she wants to taste it, just to make sure it tastes good. So the question is, if you allow her to taste it, is that already a dissolving of vows? In general, we discussed yesterday the Mishnah, in Tractate Nedarim, disputation between Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai. The question is, if you have a vow that is partially dissolved, you can say that now is totally dissolved. An example, we mentioned yesterday in the Mishnah, a fellow owns a fig tree and he did not see clearly, but he saw people eating there. He gets angry and he said, these people were eating from my fig tree, they shall be forbidden, treated like an offering. And then he come close and he realized that among them is his father, is his brother. So Beit Shammai said, since his intent was only the strangers, therefore to his father and brother it's okay to eat, versus the strangers are prohibited. Beit Hillel said, no, the moment you dissolve part of the vow, you dissolve everything. So today we continue with that. That's the way the Rabbeinu Nissim and the Rosh. By the way, I get a very interesting email. Someone thought, listen to this, Gilbert, David. Someone think that when we mention Ran, it means Reb Nachman of Breslov. Can you imagine? Okay, so let's make it clear. And the Tractate Nedarim, it's not clear. We don't have a Rashi. It's a problem. As you know, I don't have to tell you that when we discuss Jewish history, many times, as act of the persecution of our people, they burn or they disappear a lot of manuscripts. Ymach Shemam, the Nazis, when they entered the city of Lublin, the first thing they did is they burned the library with 55,000 manuscripts. So what happened is, a lot of manuscript, a lot of masterpieces from our greatest rabbis disappear. Recently they found the Meiri, etc. It's an issue. So therefore we do not have, you see in my book on Rashi, I do not have anything, because there's no Rashi, according to many, it's a question. So in a way, the rabbis find another great rabbi, whose name is Rabbeinu Nissim. But the distance between this Rabbeinu Nissim and Reb Nachman of Breslov, which is the Hasidic master, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's about 600 or 700 years different. Meaning, if you talk about time of Rashi, right, it's early 11th century.
So the Ran was around the same time as Rashi?
A little after.
A little after, yeah. And
yes, and the Rabbeinu Nachman, like 18th century. 18th century, so it's about 600-700 years different. So don't mix them. Because someone sent me an email, he says, I have a book called Chidushei Aran. And I ask him again, what does that mean? And he turns that it's something about Reb Nachman. Because it's also Chidushei Aran of Rabbeinu Nissim.
So Rav Nachman they refer to as the Ran as well?
Yes, some people.
Some people, okay.
It's okay, Moharan.
Yeah.
So all giant rabbis, the only thing is don't mix them.
I understand.
This is a Talmudic commentator. 11th century, and this is a Hasidic master. Anyway, so here the Ran and Tosfot Rosh and others said that the reason we discuss this sugya, this upcoming subject, it's elaboration of the Mishnah said. The Mishnah said, all right, Beit Hillel hold, the moment you dissolve part of the vow, you dissolve the whole vow. You dissolving the whole vow, it's not applicable. So for example, we're going to discuss, a person commit himself not to eat meat, not to drink wine. So how you make it open, the petach? So he said, you realize when you make this vow, that included Shabbat and festivals that we're supposed to, not to get drunk, but to drink Kiddush wine, to eat meat, etc. The moment he said, no, I did not realize that, then you dissolve that part. The moment you dissolve part, you dissolve everything. That's the code, Shulchan Aruch Yoreh De'ah 229. So here we are. We're going to study today page 26, but we will start page 25b. 11 lines from the bottom of the page. Ra'a otan ochlin. So as the Tosfot HaRosh and Khatam Sofer tells us, the whole concept is Neder shehu tar mikzato, if you have opened the door for annulment of vow, and you annul part, therefore you tell me that hutar kulo. So that's the disputation between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel. We want to elaborate on that. Tnanatam, this is a subject we're going to study on page 66. Potchin b'shabbatot u'biyamim tovim. So in our Mishnah, when these fellows saw them eating from his fig trees, so in a way it's no vow, because he didn't realize that his father and brother, so it's all mistaken. But if someone committed himself not to eat meat, not to drink wine for 1 year, he basically knew in advance, when you use the term a year, that year is included Shabbatot and festival. So how are you going to annul this? So the Mishnah said, the Mishnah in page 66 says, guess what? You give him a petach, you make an opening. So the Rashba and Ran said that he has to go before Chacham, before erudite sage, and the persons go before him, and the sage gives him one of the two, either petach, he give him an opening. If you know in advance that it is prohibited to fast on Shabbat and a festival, did you make this type of vow? That's one way, we call it petach, remember it's important. The second option, it's called charata, meaning you regretted. You have some act of contrition, you remorse, you feel bad about it, and he regret that he did not pull out in advance in the specification of the vow, and that's not included Shabbatot and festival. If a
person takes a vow that will a vow to essentially violate a mitzvah, is that a sufficient opening to nullify it? So, for example, if they, which is similar to the example you had, is I'm going to fast every Shabbos, and
we discussed it, if you remember, several days ago. We mentioned there is a book called Kovetz Shiurim that he dealt with this. How far you go with these conflicted ideas? In general, we have a statement that something that it's in violation, it's ineffective, because
so basically, if you make a neder that will cause you to violate,
you make a neder that you're going to eat non-kosher food,
right?
It's meaningless.
That that is sufficient to nullify the right. Okay.
Obvious.
Yeah.
If you know about it, right? One of the questions we talk about Chalot Nedarim.
Well, right. I mean, if you understand the concept.
If you comprehend what is involved, or what's the rules.
I got a question, Rabbi. If you in a place where you cannot get kosher food,
okay,
it's our regular food, are you allowed to eat in regular food?
No. No.
So why should you do?
What do you mean? The making...
But what about the question of survival?
Yeah.
Question of survival. That's
Life-
all that's
life-
available.
Life comes
That's the
before.
only thing that's available, and you have to eat.
Life is important. Life is.
All right, so for example, you can eat vegetables. Just make sure
But I
that
mean,
you're
in
using a
situation,
plastic...
though, but in a situation where the only option you have is something unkosher, or else you're going to die. I mean, you can.
So, Rabbi, could
It was a response during the Shoah that someone asked a rabbi that question.
Could you
And
buy?
the-
I wish that it's so simple.
Could
It's
you
not
buy-
It's not
simple.
that simple. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you buy a salad in a non-kosher place?
No.
Be-
You know why?
Yes.
Because the utensils that they use, they can be utensils that cut shrimps
You
or
know,
cutting
not
bacon.
Only, and not
I
only
saw-
that, but also when it comes to vegetables, remember there's cleaning requirements that we have to make sure that there's no bugs on it. We have to soak them and everything like that
Right.
to make sure the bugs are out. They
The
don't do
reason I
that.
asked this, I
So
saw,
they don't prepare the vegetables the way we
I
do.
saw just a couple of weeks ago a Hasidic guy, face and everything. He was sitting in the mall and he was eating a salad. He bought in the mall.
How do you know? Did you see him buy it? I mean, I'm sorry, but did you actually see him purchase a salad? How do you know he didn't actually have a salad in a plastic container that he brought
That's
into
a
the mall?
possibility. Too.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's-
You know what?
So you
It's like
judge
Larry...
your fellow
but
favorably.
they-
Oh,
But
it's
Judge
like
your fellow
Larry...
favorably.
Wait, but then people that walk in the mall, they see that.
Maritime.
Maritime, which the rabbis talked about many times before. There
Maritime.
is
Just like
that
why
consideration.
he-
but-
You see a guy...
But from your perspective, though, you should judge your fellow favorably.
Yeah, yeah,
Assume
yeah.
that he brought.
You see a guy in upstate New York
I thought it was over.
walking out
Just eating
of McDonald's. Or you hear? You see a guy walking out of McDonald's with a long white beard and black head and pious. And you said, what is this guy does in McDonald's?
Or is that McDonald's
No,
kosher?
but they have kosher McDonald's.
Ah, it's
All right,
not.
that's a problem.
No, he maybe need to use the bathroom.
But you see, that's a problem. Is you can't assume that just because someone kosher, someone religious came out of there, that's
Anyway.
automatically kosher. You don't know that. Maybe you just use the bathroom. Maybe you just got a cup of coffee.
All right.
Cup of coffee is okay.
Yeah.
So they said,
It's kosher.
בראשונה היו אומרים, אותם הימים מותרים. Okay? Originally, the way that they do התרת נדרים, the way that they make annulment of vow, they said, those days, Shabbat and festivals, the days are permitted. ושאר כל הימים, and the rest of the days, אסורים. Because the only way they make התרת נדרים, annulment of vow, they're using the opening, the petach, and that petach is what? Shabbat and festival. But the rest, it's not. עד שבא רבי עקיבא ולימד, you see, רבי עקיבא, he came and teach us, נדר שהותר מקצתו, הותר כולו. The moment you allow part, that's the Yerushalmi tells us at the end of the tractates, the moment you allow part of the neder, you dissolve part of the neder, so therefore everything is based on the Yerushalmi said is based on the Torah statement. Torah said in the book of Bamidbar, chapter 30, verse 3, ככל היוצא מפיו יעשה. ככל, what does that mean? Whenever the entire kol, the entire neder, then it's yaseh, it's fulfilled. But not kshemikzato, when you have part of the neder. So there are those, like the Ramban tells us, that applies only if it's a mistaken vow. And it's also a question if you make annulment is from now and onward or not. But here they said, Amar Rabbah, דכולי עלמא, both בית שמאי and בית הלל agreed. כל היכא דאמר, אילו הייתי יודע שאבא ביניכם, הייתי אומר כולכם אסורים חוץ מאבא. If I knew that part of that group, I was walking far away, I didn't see you guys. If I knew that my father is part of that group that eating from my fig tree, I made a very clear statement that all of you are prohibited to eat from that tree excluding my father, so then it's different story. The chulon asurin v'aviv mutar. Because now he said it so clearly that it's lucid in his mind that it's only the idea of some type of make dissolvement is because of his father. Otherwise he meant what he said and he's still standing for that. So what's this disputation between בית שמאי and בית הלל? לא נחלקו אלא באומר אילו הייתי יודע שאבא ביניכם, if I knew that my father is part of you, meaning have I known that my father was part of your group, הייתי אומר, I would have say it in a different way. And what do I said? פלוני או פלוני אסורין ואבא מותר. All the others are prohibited from eating figs, and my father is permitted to do so. So here you see that his matter of vow was totally mistaken when it's come to his father, and for others it was also at least partially mistaken, which is he doesn't want to hurt his father's feeling or to be dishonor in a manner to his father. So therefore he will say Mr. So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so, not all of you. So since it's a total mistake when it's come to his father, and because of partially dissolvement of the vow, you dissolve the entire vow. So Beit Hillel hold, if that's the case, it's already dissolved for everyone else. Why? Because they follow the matter of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva said the moment you allow a vow that was partially dissolved, it's totally dissolved. Now Beit Shammai hold the same as the Rabbanan, the sages, that disputed Rabbi Akiva. And they hold that if you dissolve part, doesn't mean that you dissolve everything. So even Beit Hillel preceding Rabbi Akiva, but since the Shita Mekubeset said that their statement was forgotten, and they are those who think that the sages hold the same as Beit Shammai, until Rabbi Akiva came and rediscovered the halacha that the entire neder, the entire manner of vows is total annulled, follow the school of thought of Beit Hillel. Page 26, another option to interpret the disputation between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel in the Mishnah. ורבה אמר דכולי עלמא, כל אחד אמר לו הייתי יודע שאבא ביניכם הייתי אומר פלוני ופלוני אסורים ואבא מותר, כולם מותרים. Is no disputation. Both Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel both agreed that as long as the one or the vower said now, when he realized that his father was among those who ate the figs, he said, if I knew in advance, if I have known that my father was among you, I will say clearly that so and so prohibited and my father allowed. Kulam mutarim. That's not the question. Everyone is permitted to partake. Lo nechelku ela beomer. The only disputation between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel is in a case that where one says, "Ilu הייתי יודע שאבא ביניכם הייתי אומר כולכם אסורים חוץ מאבא." If I know that my father was among you, I will say that all of you are prohibited from partaking except my father. Beit Shammai savre la ke Rabbi Meir. Beit Shammai hold the same as Rabbi Meir, that hold the amar tfos leshon rishon. So Rabbi Meir said in the Mishnah in Tractate Nedarim, page 25b, that take hold, recognize the primary of the first expression used by the person. So since the Ran explains, the moment he said it, so then it's already when he used the term "except my father," he basically clarified the previous statement, the previous expression, and he said that it's not. He doesn't mean that his father is part of that statement. ובית הלל סברי לה כרבי יוסי דאמר בגמר דבריו אדם נתפס, which means when a person makes a statement, etc., etc., you go by the bottom line, by the last testament, the last expression. So, for example, the Mishnah speaks about someone who said, this will be an offering, burnt offering, in exchange for peace offering. So, according to Rabbi Yossi, you split it, which means you go also by the last statement of a person. But the Rashash disagree, and Rashash said the way that he understands the Gemara, it's only by the last statement, not partially, totally by the last statement that the persons make. So since, according to Rabbi Yossi, you go by the last statement of a person, so if he add excluding my father, that's essence of his vow, and therefore, since partially is annulled, so it's totally annulled. So, the one of the issue how you bring the subject of Tractate Gemarrah here, how it's connected. But in general, is the whole idea of Tafos Leson Rishon. If you go by the first statement or the last statement is the total bottom line. The way that they try to prove from Tractate Gemarrah, by making the last statement, you basically wrap up everything. That's the way the Rashash explained to us. Anyway, Eiti ve'Rav Papa leRabba. כיצד אמר רבי עקיבא, נדר שהותר מקצתו, הותר כולו. Explain to me, in what case did Rabbi Akiva say that a vow nullified in part is nullified in its eternity? Konam she'eini nehene lechulchem. If someone said konam, it's a language of vow, and he said that konam, that I will not benefit from any of you. So, hutar echad mehem, if you have any one of those formulations, which is act of remorse, charata, or you have a petach, you have an opening, or he said this is his father issue is involved, hutru kulam. It means the moment you dissolve part, you dissolve the entire vow. She'eini nehene lazeh velazeh, the Bach take out the word lo. She'eini nehene lezeh velazeh, if the vower said the konam that I will not benefit from this one and from this one. So they said, hutar harishon, the first one dissolve, utru kulam, so everyone else dissolve. Hutar acharon, however, if the only one, the last one was permitted, ha'acharon mutar, so the last one alone is permitted, vechulan, and all the others, asurin, are forbidden. So Rav Papa asks, Bishlama leRabba mokim la lereisha davar hazeh velazeh. If you go by the reisha, it's a discussion here how you take reisha and sefer. But anyway, if you go by the first clause of the Mishnah, that he said for this one and that one, but not that of so and so is konam for me. So that's follow the view of Beit Hillel. Now, he saw from afar, there are people who are eating figs. He's not sure who are they. And then he pointed out and he says that these figs are prohibited to this one and to that one, right? And then he turns that one of them was his father. So based on the code, you read the 232. Then you have an issue here because one of those people you pointed out, it's the father. So if the father is involved, then you meant to exclude him. So Rava in Laboit has said, Ela ledidach. But according to you, Rava, that you said, if he changed his manner of expression, then the dissolvement applies to everyone. You have a challenge from this Mishnah, Bishlama Reisha, that he said all of you, and the moment one of them, then everyone, Mukim la de'amar lechulchem. You have to say that he retracted and said the property of all of you is konam for me, except for that of my father, and benefit from all is permitted. So they basically follow Beit Hillel, which means he didn't change his language, even now that it turned that his father is among them. But according to Rabbi Akiva, they all allow. So originally he said, Kulchem asurim, you're all prohibited. But if he knew in advance that if his father involved, he will say, all of you kulchem chutz me'avi, excluding my father, the same as Rabbi Akiva. So here you see a concept that neder she'utar mikzato, if you allow a dissolvement of part of the vow, utar kulo. So as we said in the introduction, there is a response from one of the giant scholars whose name is Mari Asad. It's a relative, a descendant's relative of him, live in Manhattan, that published his manuscripts. I get it one time, one of his manuscripts. So anyway, the question was asked, there is a woman that she have an issue with the fish, and as we said, since her childhood she have all kind of trauma over this bond, etc., etc., and she made a vow that she will never touch fish. Now she wanted to make exceptions, all kind of reasons. You can say she needs she wants to eat the meidagim, you know, the how do you call it, the secretions, the part that you serve sometimes with the fish.
Like, well,
jelly.
Yeah, like the gel or the broth, I guess.
The broth.
Yeah.
So she wants to eat the broth. The question is, you say that you allow her to eat the broth, so you allow part of the vow, you dissolve part of the vow, you dissolve all the vow. The problem with dissolvement of all the vow is lavoli dei sakana, she may enter domain of dangers because fish is bad for her in any avenue. So the moment you allow her to touch this fish, even it's just the second part, the additional part. So the fish itself, he said, is not a big issue. But he said, Chamirta sakanta mi'isura. If a person enters the domain of dangerous, it's much serious than the prohibition himself. So if you remember, we studied in Tractate Shabbat, it was a lachash. It was a special formula of prayer against, if someone have God forbid, a bone of a fish stuck in his throat, there's a special prayer that can take it. We studied in Tractate Shabbat. So here the Maria said the whole concept of what we study Rabbi Akiva, that if you dissolve part of the vow, you dissolve all the vow, it's not applicable here. Page 26b, El Seifa de Amar Laze Velaze. It's a big question, what does that mean, Seifa? The last part is the second part of the Mishnah or not. But anyway, if you tell me de Amar Laze Velaze, that he said, from this one and from this one, which means he changed his expressions. The time of the vow is said for all of you. So if you have you dissolve the first, you dissolve all. Rabbi Akiva. So that's the way we in the Mishnah explain Rabbi Akiva's view. Amai plige Rabbanan. Why the sages disputed him? Ve'amarta, you said, where the vow maintains that you will have changed his formulation. Divrei hakol mutar. According to all agree that they are permitted to partake when the one who took the vow explained what he meant, which is to this one and to that one. Amar le Rava, Rava said to Rav Papa, Ule Rabba, the Rabbi Akiva Minicha, even according to the view of Rabba. So you explain the Rabbi Akiva's view. Seifa b'may mukim la da'amar lechulchem. Hein dein hu rishon, ve'hein dein hu acharon. So this is the first one and this is the last one. So why the Mishnah needs to use the term? The Ran said the first and the last. The Rashba and the Rosh have a different view. But anyway, אלא ראשון אמר לכולכם בסייפה, כגון שתלן זה בזה ואמר פלוני כי פלוני ופלוני כי פלוני. So those you have a separate matter of vow. דייקנה מדתנניה, הותר האמצעי, המנו למטה מותרים ולמעלה אסורים. They said that if you have those who are mentioned after him, so the moment you allow the middle one, you're permitted to partake from him and those who are mentioned before him. They basically are prohibited to partake. So lemala asurim, from now on, mutarim. So it's an indirect derivative from here. The Minchat Yitzchak, the Dayan Weiss. Someone asked him a very interesting question. They want to solicit fundraising for yeshiva. So they go to several rich people. Listen to this. And they said to them, "We want to publicize that each of you are giving 100 grand. Now listen, you don't need to give 100 grand. You can give 50. But we want you permission that we publicize that 3 of you are giving 100 grand each." So they asked Dayan Weiss, may rest in peace. They said, "No, can you do that? This will encourage other people to give." So he said, "No." The same, you see a book written by Rabbi Braun. It's called Sharim HaMetzuyanim Ba'alacha. So ask him the same question. Can we, you have someone, you go to someone and you said, "Can you help us?" And then you said to someone else, let's say you go to Mr. A. He says to Mr. A, "Do you mind if I said to Mr. B that you committed yourself for 100 grand? You don't have to give the money. I just want him to know that you commit yourself or you give, so that person will give." And then you go to Mr. B and you said, "You know, Mr. A committed himself to give 100 grand, so you shall give 2. Right? And Mr. B comes in and he gives you, and then he realizes that Mr. A did not commit himself. So he said the same as Dayan Weiss. He said it's prohibited. Right? You can't do that. Anyway, so Ravada Barava asked Rava from the last clause of that Mishnah, page 66. Eitivei Ravada Barava le Rava. Konam batzal shani toem, שהבצל רע ללב. A person said the konam onions with respect to my testing them because they said it's not good for the heart. So the question is אמרו לו, אבל לא הכופרי יפה ללב. There are different type of onion. The way that the Rabbeinu Avar Minahar explained in the Rosh, it's either the one that is totally baked. There are others who say kafri is like from the kfar, from the farm, from the village. So they said, יפה ללב, it's good for the heart. הותר בחופרי, ולא בחופרי בלבד הותר, אלא בכל הבשלים. So if he is permitted to eat from the kufri variety, it's good. So the Mefaresh said the only commit that he made is for the onion, that it's bad for a person's health, for a person's heart, but not for this one. It's called kufri, that it's good. So that's considering nidresh gagot, and the Ran explained that he doesn't intend to the kufri onion. ולא בחופרי בלבד, הותר אלא בכל הבצלים. Why? Because you allow part, you allow all. מעשה היה והתירו רבי מאיר בכל הבצלים, it happens or may allow all different onion. מה אליו דאמר, לא יודע שהכופרי יפה ללב? הייתי אומר, כל הבצלים אסורים וחופרי מותר, if I know that it's good for the heart. I will say that all the others prohibited, all the other onion, and the other one is allowed. So it means you go by the beginning of what he said. So why Meir allows all different onion? That's the way the Ran asks. There is a concept that called Tfos Lashon Rishon. So the idea is by which statement you go. If you go by the first statement, so then why you allow all the onions? Again, you can derive indirectly from that. It's a book called Sha'arim HaMetzuyanim B'Halacha we mentioned. So ask a question. There's a man, his wife refused to receive the get from him. So there is a concept in Halacha that it's called Heter Me'arabanim. Persons go before 100 rabbis and they signed up and they release him. So usually you think that 100 rabbis go over the whole details and search, etc., etc. The truth is, many times you have the dayanim, the people who sit in the rabbinic court, that they write a cover letter and explain all the other rabbonim what's involved. And the other rabbonim, based on the trustworthy Bet Din, they add their name and the signature to collect 100. So Rabbi Yehuda said, Lechatchila, the way it should be done, it's not necessarily ordained rabbis that signed up. He says it's enough if you have Talmidei Chachamim, 100 Torah scholars. You know, reading that Rabbi Yehuda, you're thinking, you know what he meant? That, you know, you have many rabbis, but Talmidei Chachamim, you don't have so many. Because not every rabbi is Talmid Chacham. That's what I think it meant. Anyway, painful fact, right? You see it in this country a lot. Anyway, so the Gemara said, Lo, be'omer ilu hayiti yodea. You have to say that he said, if I know sha'kufri yafel alev, if I know that this kufri is good for the heart, Hayiti Omer, so again, if I know, I will say, Batzal Ploni Ufloni Asurim, Vechofri Mutar, such an onion and such an onion are forbidden to me, and the kufri onion is permitted. So therefore, Rabbi Meir, Aliba de Rabbi Akiva, Aliba de Rabbanan. So you see the view of Rabbi Meir, he's followed the view of Rabbi Akiva and also of rabbis. Why? Because the way that the rabbi said, when one says this one and that one, all agree that everything is permitted. So it's a book called Shvut Yaakov. He asks a question, if someone make a vow, make a neder, that he's giving tzedakah to poor people, and he thought that those individuals, those poor people, were pious people, godly, pious, righteous people. And then he turns that some of them are not really honest people. So they ask a question, is that considering neder shogeg? Is that considering a mistaken vow? Or it's unwitted vow? And therefore, do you have chalot neder or not? Because he may said, I intend to give that money to people because I thought that they are pious people. Now I realize that they are not. So even you can say that some of them or all of them are people in need, but his intent original to give extraordinary money is with the framework of certain piety of certain people. So you have a big responsa if it still holds the same manner of vow or not.
Boyachem leshuloim malachai yeshuloim malachai